Godzilla 962 here, and do you know about King Kong vs. Godzilla? Many do, and some don't, but one film that could have gone alongside it was never brought to life. So join me in this journey to learn about Godzilla vs. Mechani-Kong. In both 1933 and 1954 respectively, King Kong and Godzilla released. These films are iconic and changed cinema forever, with both kaiju creating huge fan bases. Eventually, these two kaiju would come together in the film King Kong vs. Godzilla, released in 1962. The film was a smash hit, and a sequel would end up getting a script, but it was never put into production. So with the sequel being no more, Toho ended up making different films, and the Showa era would end in 1975 with Tale of Mech-Godzilla. Years later, in 1984, a new era would begin, the Heisei era. This new era would introduce some new kaiju and bring back some old ones as well. In 1989, Godzilla's Biollante was released, and although a fan favorite, at the time it was a financial failure. So Toho was looking to make a more profitable Godzilla films. So going back to the biggest hit, they planned to make a new King Kong vs. Godzilla, titled Godzilla vs. King Kong. The film would have had King Kong fall in love with a scientist who would then turn him into a cyborg. This film would be cancelled due to the licensing rate for King Kong at the time. For not only was Kong way too expensive to license, but getting permission was too difficult as well. So that's when Godzilla vs. Mechani-Kong was born. When eyeing what should be the next film, Toho would go through various scripts. The first was Micro Super Battle Godzilla vs. Gigamoth. In the film, the US would build Mechani-Kong, but due to a radiation leak, the kaiju Gigamoth is born. After capturing it, Godzilla would come ashore, and Mechani-Kong would use its ejectors to put humans inside of Godzilla, in an attempt to shut down his nuclear reactor. Inside of Godzilla would have many strange worlds, similar to Fantastic Voyage. But during this chaos, Gigamoth would escape, and join to make a three-way battle. Although going unmade, this film concept would go on to inspire some more ideas. Godzilla vs. Mechani-Kong and Godzilla vs. Gigamoth. For Godzilla vs. Mechani-Kong, the film was titled Godzilla's Counterattack. Unlike the previous films, this one would be set in Japan, and would have terrorists putting a device inside of Godzilla. This device would cause an unstable nuclear reaction inside of his body. The unstable nuclear reaction would cause Godzilla to become Red Godzilla. Red Godzilla would go on a rampage through Japan, so deploying Mechani-Kong, the JSDF would inject humans inside of Godzilla to counter the unstable nuclear reaction. Meanwhile, Red Godzilla would battle Mechani-Kong. Some ideas were carried from the original idea, like injecting humans into Godzilla, but this was all around a unique and I'd say better script for what it could have been. Because although I like the first script with the three-way battle, the second one is more condensed, has more stakes, and feels more like a Heisei film, while the first one felt more like Showa. Nothing wrong with that, it's my favorite era. It's just that each era has its own different tones and feels for each film. But that's not the final film during this crazy time in Godzilla history I'm talking about today. For the simply titled Godzilla vs. Mechani-Kong is next. Wanting to defend Japan, the JSDF would build Mechani-Kong, specifically built to fight off Godzilla. Using injectors, Mechani-Kong would put humans to combat Godzilla from the inside, while Mechani-Kong fought the King of the Monsters on the outside. This feels super lazy to me. The reason I say that is because after seeing what the first two versions were, this feels like a combination of stuff to make the movie cheaper and more streamlined. No Red Godzilla, no Gigamoth, the same idea of injecting humans into Godzilla. Compared to the previous two versions, I could see this one making the least amount of money if any of these were made. And on top of all of this, there was a proposal for a film called Micro-Universe in Godzilla. But unfortunately there was no info on this revision, so instead Toho went through with the idea of Godzilla vs. Gigamoth. This would eventually form into what would be Godzilla vs. Mothra in 1992. After this whole thing, Mechani-Kong stayed in the background for a while. He appeared in Adventure Godzilla and in a drawing alongside Meguma, and some penguins. Other than that, he faced off against Godzilla in the manga Godzilla King of the Monsters, where he fought Godzilla with the help from Mech-Godzilla, and was a part of a council in Monster Warrior Godzilla. Despite all of this, the Heisei Mechani-Kong design was actually seen in non-Godzilla media. Koichi Katakiwa, a Japanese special effects director, would give us Mechani-Kong in a unique way. I can't find out if he created this mecha, but Kawakita would pay tribute to Mechani-Kong with the character Bulgario. Bulgario was in the show The Just Arisers in the film Super Fleet Caesar X the movie, Fight Star Soldiers. Bulgario used the unused Heisei design for Mechani-Kong, so although the films were never made, we can still see what we could have gotten. This happened because Mechani-Kong was one of Koichi Kawakia's favorite kaiju. So with all that being said, would any of you enjoy seeing these cancelled films? And if so, tell me why down in the comments below. I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I apologize if I mispronounced any Japanese names. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Godzilla 962, signing off.